Okay, picture this. Imagine the next big Hollywood blockbuster. But listen, it's not about superheroes and it's not about spies. It's actually a character study, a cinematic breakdown of a truly brilliant and utterly absurd protagonist. Welcome to today's Explainer, where we are going to pitch a movie based entirely on a real, meticulously crafted dating profile of a cultured, tech-savvy cat named Schrodinger Joseph. We're going to treat this incredible source document exactly like a script treatment, breaking down his epic quest for a forever human into a classic three-act structure. Trust me on this, by the time we're done, you're absolutely going to want to buy a ticket to this movie. Okay, let's dive into this with literally the absolute best hook imaginable. Right off the bat, our protagonist casually drops this massive bombshell. He has somehow convinced a human software company to hire him, completely sight unseen. I mean, it perfectly sets the tone for our main character, right? He's a total genius, he's a little bit arrogant, and he is fully aware of just how gullible we humans really are. Which immediately brings us to the core mystery of our film. How exactly does a swearing, self-aware tomcat trick a tech company into putting him on the payroll? Like, what kind of bizarre reality are we even dealing with here? We actually don't even need a traditional agenda to guide us today, because answering this one question is really the only roadmap we need to understand the beautiful, chaotic mind of Schrodinger Joseph. Act 1. The Digital Feline. So to understand the how, we really have to start with the who. Let's open our script by exploring the unique origins and pretty extraordinary skills of our protagonist. Every good movie needs a logline, and ours reads exactly like this. A tech-savvy, toilet-trained, Mac-typing tomcat navigates the Canadian tech industry to find his forever human. I just want you to take a second and appreciate the sheer journalistic seriousness of that sentence. The comedic contrast between his high-level intellect and the fact that he is, at the end of the day, just a fluffy cat, well, that's the engine that drives this entire narrative. Now, what's really fascinating here is his unique origin story. He wasn't just born a tech genius. He was adopted by an immigrant in Montreal, and as she studied to learn English, Schroeder just sat there on her lap and learned right alongside her. For the past 2 years, he spent his life with 2 fluffy paws hovering over a Mac keyboard. And you know the only reason he uses a Mac? He points out that his claws aren't individually retractable. If they were, he flat out boasts he could type on a BlackBerry faster than any human. It's that level of hyperspecific detail that makes his character so incredibly vivid. And a huge part of that vivid personality is his language. He openly admits that he swears, but hey, he has standards. He only drops F-bombs regarding a highly specific, totally hilarious list of high-stress topics. We're talking lawyers, taxes, gay rights, racism, dentists, and Weight Watchers. Just think about the sheer absurdity of a cat having strong, expletive-laden opinions on the Canadian tax code or Weight Watchers. It is absolute comedic gold for our first act. Act 2, The Journey of a Tomcat. So our hero hits the road, traveling between Montreal and Ottawa. But he takes the bus, and he specifically sits in the human section because he makes it very clear he is way too cool to ride in the cargo hold with the regular pets. This kicks off our classic fish out of water sequence, because he is a cultured cat. He's toilet trained. But, well, this leads to what I call the airplane toilet phobia scene. When he flies first class, he faces a terrifying cinematic set piece, the airplane bathroom. He vividly describes the absolute horror of having to swoop his paw to hit the flusher while desperately trying to evade the terrifying suction of that blue shit water, all while protecting his tail so it doesn't get sucked down and turned into a spiky toilet brush. I mean, it is a high-stakes action sequence happening entirely in the mind of a feline. Meanwhile, in his professional life, his remote software job is actually going great. But he faces a totally baffling cultural barrier, the corporate Christmas party. He literally asks his readers, what even is this? To Schrodinger, the whole concept is utterly meaningless. He points out, very accurately, that cats only care about who is currently scratching their necks. Why on earth would he commute to a party just to stand around? And his workplace communication? Literally just as funny. If you try to call him instead of texting, here is the exact step-by-step physical comedy sequence that goes down. The phone vibrates, he gets startled and jumps completely vertically into the air. His natural killer instinct kicks in, so he aggressively slaps the screen to kill the phone. But of course, this accidentally answers the call, leaving the poor human on the other end listening to nothing but the tap, tap, tap of paw pads on glass before he inadvertently hangs up on them. He's also very upfront about his limitations around the house, warning any future humans. Take the feather duster disaster. He explains that holding a duster with paws is pretty much impossible. The feathers flop around, which, you guessed it, instantly triggers his instinct to murder the duster. Next thing you know, the wooden handle is flying across the living room, completely smashing your knickknacks. It's the perfect warning. Absolutely do not expect this cat to do your chores. To cap off this second act, our tech-savvy hero actually pitches his own startup. He boldly declares Twitter to be the enemy of the cat. His grand solution? A rival platform called Catter. He argues it's a much cooler name, for starters, and its primary business model is incredibly simple. Absolutely no Kardashians allowed. He figures people who like cats enough to join Catter couldn't possibly care less about celebrity gossip. Act 3, Bridges and Balls. All right, this brings us to the emotional core of our pitch. Here, the stakes get a lot more personal, dealing with his strict legal philosophy and a looming medical crisis. Schrodinger wants to make it abundantly clear that he is not like a standard pet. Standard pets are needy and they're loud. He is quiet, but he notes that he is always listening. However, he views the cat-human dynamic strictly through the lens of attorney-client privilege. Anything he overhears you say in your home is strictly confidential. He is your silent, legally bound confidant. And this perfectly illustrates the stubborn pride of our aging protagonist. He admits he's getting a little older. He even admits he has a bit of a leaking problem, but he absolutely, fundamentally refuses to get fully snipped by the vet. Why? Because, as he puts it, he keeps his equipment around for purely sentimental reasons. He has absolutely no intention of having more kittens, but he absolutely demands to keep his dignity intact. So, faced with his twilight years, he reveals this grand, visionary, and honestly, slightly ominous mission. If he can't find the perfect owner, he plans to build a cat-human bridge by teaching an entire army of cats how to type. He wants to completely revolutionize the feline-human relationship worldwide, empowering cats everywhere to negotiate their own living conditions. Climax and resolution: the forever human. But before he unleashes a typing cat army on the world, Schrodinger narrows down his search, actively rejecting insecure owners to find his true, perfect companion. The crucial point here is the ticking clock. He admits he foolishly threw away a few lives in his youth jumping across rooftops, so he estimates he only has about 4 or 5 of his 9 lives left. He really needs to find his forever human before the credits roll. He lays out his exact target demographic. He is looking for a female companion somewhere between 30 and 60 human years old who travels frequently for work, so he can get his alone time, obviously, and crucially, she must never, ever attempt to leash train him. He proudly shares his smart cat tactic for this. If you try to put him on a leash, he will simply go entirely limp, forcing you to drag him down the sidewalk in a highly undignified manner for both of you. He's also looking for a human who respects his, let's say, refined palate. He prefers dry food, but notes that if you happen to set out a little dish of that liquid you humans call beer, well, he certainly wouldn't object. He also fondly recounts nights eating spaghetti and meatballs. Oh, and he has one massive geographic deal breaker. He absolutely refuses to move back to Alberta, stating quite simply that he's already done his time there. As he finally wraps up his profile, he drops a truly terrible pun about looking as cute as a butt end and immediately apologizes for it. He states he doesn't want to start the relationship on a lie, and then directly compares his bad joke to lies about political inauguration crowd sizes. Now remember, we're just explaining the source material here, folks, but this moment perfectly encapsulates his unapologetic, totally self-aware humor. He drops political satire without missing a single beat, completely establishing himself as a highly cultured, hyper-aware character. Which brings us to the very end of our pitch, and Schrodinger's final challenge to his potential owner, and really, to us. He knows his spelling isn't perfect. I mean, he's typing with paws, after all. He knows his demands are wild, but he asks, are you patient enough to read through the red and green squiggly lines? Are you actually ready to embrace true cat nonsense? It's just this hilarious, captivating profile that leaves you genuinely charmed by a fictionalized keyboard-smashing cat. So I just have to ask you, would you greenlight this movie?